This film is as if Vice Squad 8mm and video violence at a child. And it's as amazing as it sounds. First things first, yes, I do realize I have a giant red pimple on my forehead. I'm addicted to caffeine, nicotine, and methamphetamine. So today I am talking about Streets of Death, a 1987 film directed by Jeff Hitchcock. And yes, that's the exact type of name I would expect a guy to direct this film to have. But it's not your regular film. This is in fact a shot-on-video film. So for people who don't know, they're basically movies that were shot on home video. But I think this one was shot on something higher quality than a VHS, probably Betamax. Now, even though I personally love the crazy and trashy world of SOV films, they can get a bit hard to get into. But this one is a good first step into the world because overall it's well produced, the visual quality is of course lacking, however the audio and editing are pretty good. First things first, we are directly introduced into what this film will be about in our first scene. We see a girl doing her makeup, doing her hair, and getting ready, then she gets picked up for money, and then she gets killed. See, this is a film about a serial killer who murders prostitutes. So what you basically have is a shot-on-video version of Vice Squad without the amazing performance of Ramrod. And then after the first murder, because this film really wants to hook you in, we have a second one. And the murders in this film aren't really graphic, this is not really a gore fest, but you know, you still get a pretty nice kill in the third one where the prostitute gets drilled to death. We don't see anything, but the image is there. And then we meet the characters, the cops we will be following. We have the old captain, that's this really boomy voiced guy, and then we have what is our main character basically, who's the most boring, dull cop character I've probably ever seen. Good thing this film doesn't really follow one specific character for too long. Our boring ass police officer will of course get partnered with a hot blonde woman that's in the Vice Squad, and her job will be to pretend to be a prostitute to hopefully catch the killer. However, I'm not sure about her method. You see, she pretends to be a prostitute, but then when she gets into the car, you know, instead of waiting to see if that person will drive her to her death, well, she arrests them as soon as they offer sexual favors. Which kind of sounds counterproductive. If you're looking for a murderer, why arrest someone for soliciting sex? Because the only thing that'll happen is when that person is released, it'll just kill more hookers.
I'd like you to give me a blowjob.
But that isn't the only nonsensical thing in this film. You see, during this investigation about a serial killer, the city councilor calls the police chief to tell him that 2 college students are filming a documentary about prostitutes, and the councilor gave the okay and said that the police will help them in the process. Which I know I don't want to nitpick a film directed by a man called Jeff Hitchcock, but that isn't really something that people do. What, kids? You're filming an amateur documentary for your college class about prostitution? Here's help from the police chief that will basically let you do whatever you want. And who are these 2 amateur documentarians? Are serial killers. And why do they give that strange excuse? Well, you see, they're snuff filmmakers, and you know I love me movies about snuff films. As soon as this happened, I was like, oh boy, this is gonna be a great movie. And the rest of the movie will be the college students, who don't really look like college students, getting prostitutes, murdering them, and then the police trying to catch them. And I have one big issue with this film is that we don't spend enough time with our prostitutes. There's about 4 or 5 of them that get murdered, but they're also great characters. Like, my favorite has to be the third one who gets killed, I think. She gets into the car, the guy pulls out the money, and she says, "Let's talk about this over a cocktail," and by that I mean your cock and my tail. This is the type of dialogue I live for.
Don't, we discuss this over a cocktail? Your cock and, my tail.
The fourth or fifth one, she has these really long fuck me boots and she wears all black, and her striptease is actually pretty sexy. I also love her because she doesn't take shit from anyone and she just insults our two serial killers. Again, these women are lovely and I would have loved to at least spend a little more time with them because they're all amazing at their roles. And every character in this film is a caricature and a cliche. You have the, boomy voice captain, and then you have the retired policeman who will actually solve the crime. Yeah, our main boring police character and his partner basically don't do anything throughout the entire film except arrest Johns before they can find out if they're actually the killers. But yeah, the retired police officer, Frank, of course, who actually wasn't retired, he got fired after, you guessed it, shooting a kid. And he wants to come back, and then he's like to the captain, I want to do this, man. And the captain's like, I really want you to, but I can't, officially accept that. And he says, well, I'll do it as a civilian. And then he actually solves the crime, which makes our two main characters completely useless, and they're only there for the grand finale between the killers and the police.
I'm maturing my investment, that's all. Sex sells.
So, I know this was a quick and kind of messy video, but this is what I call a spooky classic. This is what my videos used to be like. Just because this week I don't really have time to edit or, work too much on a script. Even though I don't really script anything, but you understand. Anyways, what did I think of Streets of Death? Man, this is an amazing movie. Of course it has problems that most SOV films, face. Basically, some parts are way too long, the editing is quite slow, the shots are very static and uncreative. Visually, it's not the most beautiful film ever, shot on video, but I was surprised at the audio quality. It's crisp, man, and the music is pretty slappin'. It would be a great introduction to shot on video film since, it's not as painfully SOV as a lot of SOV films, but it still, has that characteristic. The only issue with that is I was sitting there watching it, enjoying it, but wishing to myself, damn, I just wish this was shot on 16mm, because for this type of sleazy fun, it would actually been even more atmospheric and it would have probably looked more like Vice Squad than, a shot on video film. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the video and see you guys next time.